Back pumps. Once again, man. I got a mean ass lower back pump. Started off with pin squats. Had a bit of an thought, which height should I set the pins at today? Ideally I don't want to have these lower back pumps every single day. But it got me thinking, man, why am I getting these lower back pumps? Is the lower back weak? Is it the erectus spinae muscle, or is it the origin points of the glute max? One of you guys pointed this out last week, that it could be that it's not my lower back, it's actually kind of the start of that glute max kind of origin point, which kind of starts around the same point as where the pump is. Anyway, I started experimenting with these seated leg curls sort of last 3 or 4 days. And while I like having my hamstrings pumped, they feel really, really good, the lower back pumps have not decreased. So it got me thinking again. So today, after I did the pin squats and the flat shoe squats and the ollie shoe squats, I decided to do some RDLs. Now, I was surprised that I could kind of handle the RDLs after all of that and after having the lower back pump. But an interesting thing happened to me after the RDLs. My lower back pump went away. Almost immediately, as soon as I started kind of doing the bar and 60 kilos, the lower back pump went away. Right now I'm sitting here and I feel quite good. And I think the RDLs did something. So what are RDLs? They're basically deadlifts that you don't put on the floor with, no knees. So you have fairly straight legs. So it's basically all about the hip extension, hinging at the hips. That's all the RDLs are. And I did them snatch gripped so I can kind of increase that range of motion so the plates don't hit the floor so soon. So I did that and I got a really good result. So maybe my body's trying to tell me something. Maybe these back pumps a sign that maybe I'm weak in some sort of hip hinge motion. Now, obviously, ever since doing this crazy ass run with the 200 kilos for one every single day, I've tried to steer away from too much hip hinging, with the idea that if I do, the deadlifts as well as all of this crazy workload, that my back might get fried, and then my performance drops and I'll have to cut the 200 kilo for one streak. But now I'm thinking to myself, maybe I need to do these hip hinging movements. So today I tried out with these RDLs. They felt amazing, man. They made me feel really, really good. Actually, while I was doing them, I thought about Klokov and what he was able to do with these, I don't know what you call them, a snatch grip, muscle snatches. I'm not really good with terminology in terms of weightlifting, but he would kind of pick the bar up in a snatch position and then kind of lower it down and then flick it up, into a kind of clean, or whatever you call it, the top position of a snatch. And I remember some crazy amount of tonnage he was doing that with, like basically dead stop. So he would lean over in a snatch position, the bar would be at the knees, and then he would generate this crazy power and flick the bar up above his head. So while I was doing my RDLs today, I was thinking about how powerful Klokov was from that position. So I think there is some value in doing these RDLs with a snatch grip position. Several of you guys have actually said to me to do snatch grip RDLs, that they would immensely improve my performance, my lower back positioning, my upper back strength. And today I finally gave it a go, and the short review is that it made me feel really, really well. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Part of the thinking here was I don't have a seated leg curl machine at home, and now I'm kind of going back to work tomorrow. I started thinking about, well, how am I gonna go about training my hamstrings like I kind of promised myself every single session I was gonna do that. I don't have that machine. I don't plan to spend $2,000 on that machine. So I started thinking about what sort of barbell movements do I do? Do I do good mornings? Do I do deadlifts? Do I do RDLs? And then I thought about Klokov, thought about the upper back positioning, and I thought let's give today a shot at doing these RDLs with a snatch grip position. And honestly, they felt really good. Surprisingly, it's kind of ironic that the lower back pump would go away doing a hip hinge. So it's really interesting. But yeah, so today, once again, a back pump. I did the pin squats, worked up to 220 for one. I'm trying to mix up the kind of height of the pins. based upon on how my lower back feels really. Today I did them kind of, I don't know, at a height that I was expecting to get 10 with the 220. Ended up, my back was just that pumped that I just thought there's no point pushing this. So then after that I went to squats. I hit 200. That felt kind of all right. Still kind of uncomfortable with the lower back being so damn pumped. Like I'm doing these sessions last few days and all I really feel is my lower back. Even when I hit the 210, my lower back was on fire. So I don't really like that sensation. I don't know what that sensation would progress to if I just continue getting these damn lower back pumps every single day. It's clearly something's happening. My body's trying to tell me something. Sometimes you trip over the damn truth and you still don't see it. So I'm gonna try and think about what's happening with lower back pumps, and I'll start doing these RDLs and see if that changes it, because clearly the leg curl machine wasn't really changing it. It was kind of getting my hamstrings involved, and that kind of felt good, but it's not really changing lower back pump. So let's give these RDLs a shot. So this is the 180. I kind of feel good. The bar kind of feels all right. It's just what I feel underneath the bar is something that you guys don't see. Like the lower back pumps feel shit. But sometimes, videos can be deceiving. A lot of you guys often tell me, man, you got more weight in you. I always tell my cameraman, like doing these lifts, the camera kind of sees what it sees, but you don't understand, how I feel just by watching it on the camera or just watching me. There's all these obviously symptoms, sensory mechanisms that I'm kind of feeling. And in the past I've kind of always said, look at the bar speed. If the bar speed is good, then you'll load more weight. That's important, but it's also important to kind of feel what you're feeling. Don't be stupid with your body. I know I kind of say contradicting things all the time. Like I sometimes say to you guys, don't worry about how you think you feel. Just warm up and go from there. Sometimes when you're sitting on the couch and you're thinking about going to the gym, it's like, no, I can't be screwed. I feel tired. I'm yawning. Blah 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 blah. I always say in those circumstances, just go to the gym, warm up. When you warm up, you will know what's up. If you warm up and you've cracked your first sweat and you still feel like shit, well, that's truly a shit feeling, right? A lot of the times in my experience, man, I've been surprised. Like the other day I hit 210, right? I was yawning my ass off on the way to the gym. So was the cameraman, in fact. Like we had a long day. Rocked up and I was able to hit an all-time PR for me. So you never know until you warm up. Having that said, once you warm up, be very, very careful about what the body tells you. The body then, gets rid of that fog, that dust, and you can see clearly the messages that it's telling you. If you're having these low back pumps, for instance, like me, or you're feeling some other symptom, just think about it critically. Think about what's happening. Obviously, don't react the moment you feel something, but if there's a pattern forming, if you understand that, okay, this is now becoming a trend, then think about how you improve it. Think about the mechanisms, the biomechanics. That's kind of what I've done through this journey. I kind of think about it. I try another thing, the following training session, and the story goes on and on. One of the things about training every day is that I always have this conversation with my body. I always have these vital signs being taken from my body because I'm moving so often and I can kind of respond on the fly. So now it's kind of been freaking more than a week of these low back pumps, and I'm like, it's interesting, man. I think my body's missing something, and so this is kind of what led me to do the hamstrings. And now I'm thinking, maybe the hamstrings are not enough. Maybe I need to include some sort of compound movement, like an RDL, where I'm incorporating all of the posterior chain in like a good plane of motion. I tried isolating, and it seems to not work well. I still feel like that machine, it's nice to use, and it definitely hits the hell out of the hamstring, especially if you're kind of stretching it on the top. But like I said, I don't have that thing at home, and there's going to be plenty of days now where I'm going to be working, 4:30 a.m. starts, and I don't want to say I'm not going to train on my hamstrings or my posterior chain at all. So I decided to think about doing something that I'll be able to do at home here. As I'm sitting here, I'm looking at my barbell. I thought to myself, I can just jump up right now and do some RDLs and hit my hamstrings. And the snatch grip, I can tell you, the snatch grip feels different. Like I haven't done snatch grip in God knows how long. I can't remember the last time. It's been years, surely. This is the 180 for one. Pause. Actually let my breath out and then took another breath and stood up. The snatch grip has my traps feeling a little bit weird right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if I have DOMs tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. There's been so many of you guys telling me that if you want to bring up your upper back, especially for that starting position in the deadlift, snatch grip, RDLs or deadlifts or whatever sort of hip hinge you prefer, would be very, very good for you. So finally I've kind of come around in my own little way to do this. Interesting to see how my hamstrings feel, because the last few days I've had low level soreness through my hamstrings, and I've hit them with the RDL, and I know from experience RDLs and good mornings are filthy things for your hamstrings. Then like nothing brings DOMs on like that. It's something about like heaps of weight in your hands and that fully stretched position. It's kind of different compared to that machine, because when you're standing on your feet, there's a degree of dorsiflexion with your feet, whereas in that machine you can point your toes forward and then you kind of, I guess, give slack into the posterior chain system, and so it's not so much tension through the posterior chain system. But when you're standing on your feet, your calves are getting stretched, your hamstrings getting stretched, your glutes, your back, everything's kind of put into that extremely long state. So the most amount of damage can happen when you load and you have big range of motion. That's a recipe for a lot of muscle damage. So I'm interested to see how I'm going to pull up tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be a early morning session. So I'm talking 4:30 get up, 5 o'clock, touch the bar, train for an hour, get ready and go to work. And so I'm gonna see how it feels, because I always have said to you guys that my weights at home feel heavier. And also there's no bounce in the bar, there's no bounce in the concrete. So, technically I think the weights are going to feel a lot heavier because of all those things. And especially sprinkle a little bit of 5 a.m.ness into all of this, and you have a recipe for a lighter day tomorrow, I think. If you think about it, how unnatural is it to sleep or 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever you get, wake up at 4:30 and then all of a sudden load up your 90 or 95% of your max kind of like 20 minutes after you wake up. So that's a really unnatural thing, and a lot of us are quite stiff in the morning. Our spines are kind of locked up because we haven't moved for a while. Maybe there's a degree of dehydration, and so I don't know, I'm thinking about tomorrow even just getting in here and starting with the RDLs, just to kind of add some length, wake up my spinal erectors, wake up my system, so I can start loading the squat. That's something that I'm thinking about right now. It's a different thing. It's a different thing training in the morning. Like this whole last 2 weeks of annual leave, I've been training around 11, 12 o'clock on average. I think I've been aiming for that. I've had PM sessions as well, but most of the time I've had food in my belly. By this point, I've woken up, I've kind of loosened up. It's a completely different beast when you're waking up and straight to the barbell, straight into an ATG. It's just it's a different type of challenge. So something to consider. I'm not expecting wonderful things when work comes back. These sessions are going to be much, much more challenging than what I've kind of had to deal with last 2 weeks. On top of that, stress, work, lack of proper nutrition, probably lesser sleep. All those things can pile up quickly and change things for you as a lifter. So it's an interesting time. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't want to make expectations for myself, but let's see how it pans out. I'd love to be able to hit 200 every single day, but I just don't know how it's going to cope. I'm hitting 200 kind of, not barely, but some days have been quite heavy of recent times. And now you add all of those changes and it could kind of spill me over and get me back to 180, the dreaded 180 times 1. I feel like I've done 180 times 1 in this damn garage for such a long time. But anyway, I have to auto-regulate. I have to not be stubborn and think about the future and health. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys in actually next one, tomorrow morning. Yeah, so in less than how many hours? Oh, more than 12 hours, probably about 14, 15 hours. All right, guys, peace out.